Chapter 1: Unwarranted Apology. Do we still have reason to be sorry? Rayner Banham's primary criticism is that the architectural profession thus far has developed too removed from technology and mechanization, that there is an inherent flaw in the way architecture is taught and perceived by its own practitioners as a pure art. His concerns are threefold. Firstly, the way we draw. There's pure graphical elegance without calling out any of the environmental provisions. Secondly, the way we teach. Our schools fail to prioritize these systems, instead focusing on the drawing. And thirdly, the way we write. That thus far, any literature on architectural and technological history is entirely defined by one text. Do these criticisms still ring true? Let's look at the way we draw. The way we build now, architects and architectural firms are responsible for producing comprehensive construction documents detailing the systems of their building. The tools that we use to draw have evolved to include largely BIM modeling, which allows us to collaborate closely with these specialist consultants. Even if some of these drawings are prepared by engineers in other fields, they are done under the specifications of the architect, carefully cross-checked to ensure accuracy and consistency. While there is still a degree of idealization around the simple partie sketch being the basis of a brilliant building, we've learned from situations like the Sydney Opera House that a great drawing does not a good building make. Mechanical and structural systems are essential. Architecture is more than the elegance of a squiggly line. Ultimately, the way we draw and the way we practice is rooted in what our educational institutions are teaching us. Which brings me on to the way we teach. With the NCARB and NAB requirements, architectural education today is mandated to include a decent amount of knowledge about mechanical and environmental controls, so we know how to make a home a house. Some schools have year-long internship requirements that allow students to gain more professional experience. But there is a difference between curriculum and culture. Just feeding students information does not always change the way they think about architecture. I still believe that our education teaches us to view architecture as an art, to prioritize the poetics of light, sequence, entry experience, whereas in the real world, our responsibilities extend far more into the science of building, the comfort of humans, the management of systems. How do we teach students to appreciate the beauty behind functional procedures? Which really takes me on to my third point, the way we learn. The literature on mechanization has expanded far beyond Gideon and Banham. Endless other experts have weighed in the fields of knowledge on thermal comfort, on the technological takeover of the house, on the non-human advances into design, etc. has expanded. Architecture is ultimately still a profession that relies on consultant specialists. And perhaps this will never change. Like Gideon says, the basis of scientific management is that you break down a process into all of its component parts and relegate each part to its most efficient undertaker, be that human or machine. Because there is no straight path to progress. Instead, the field has elected to diversify immeasurably. While some stay devoted to the graphical power of paper architecture, others commit themselves to working seamlessly with specialists to build wonderful buildings. And some have chased the dream of the machine so rigorously, they've almost left architecture entirely behind. We don't have to become victim to mechanistic enslavement. We can chart our own path or paths forward. This is our inheritance, what will be our revolution.